Alrighty.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Michael Kaye from the Center for Functional Health, and I am so excited for tonight. I am speaking with William Schumacher, the CEO of Uprising Foods. William, thank you very much for coming. As you well know, I am a huge fan of the bread, so I can't wait to talk tonight about bread, about chips, about Uprising, and what your goals are, what your passion is. And let me tell you, man, this is where the power is at, right here. Right,
Well,
you can
thank
see
you
that.
so
Everybody
much
can
for
see
having
that
me,
right
Dr.
here.
K.
This, some avocado, and you got yourself an incredible nutrient-dense meal. So welcome, welcome, welcome for those who are watching us now for the first time. If you can share a little bit about your background, you went from Procter and Gamble, and now you got this amazing company. So the floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So really the origin story of Uprising and why I would leave a consumer products giant and a great career at P&G to go out and do this really starts way back in my youth. My mom was a health coach and a dental hygienist. My dad was an entrepreneur and a small business guy. So from early age, I was exposed to health concepts and eating healthy as a family, and stuff that really now is more normalized. But at a young age, I was being exposed to these things. Fast forward, I go off to college. I am graduate. I'm working in banking prior to P&G, and I get really out of shape for the age that I was at. And I was like 24 years old at the time. And I went to put my dress pants on and I was like, oh boy, something's wrong here. And that sparked something inside of me of like, wait a minute, my body is changing and I don't know why. And you have a kind of a moment of like, do you want to accept that or do you not? And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to figure out what's going on and I'm going to get back to normal. And normal for me was athletic and healthy and all these things. And so I had my well, it's called a Harajuku moment. And I just said, you know what? I'm making a change. I'm going to figure this out. So that happened to be at the same time when Dave Asprey and Bulletproof and podcasting was just becoming a burgeoning thing. And I just dove in and I wanted to learn everything, things that I had been, sprinkle level exposed to by my mom. I just went all in on this in understanding the biohacking and, what does what in the body, intermittent fasting, keto, cycling between carbs and fats, and all these various things. And I hacked my health. Now, at first, I was hacking my physical appearance health. I was a young guy, and I just wanted to essentially be athletic, fit, and look healthy. And I really didn't care what was going on inside. Then I started going down the path of, well, what's going on deeper once I had achieved that goal? And I started diving into my blood work and I started figuring out, whoa, okay, you can look good on the outside and not inside. And so that sent me down the rabbit hole of understanding HDLs and LDLs and all these various things. And so over time, I had gotten kind of my own personal health dialed in, and I would, do all sorts of weird biohacking experiments at home. And I would share my personal like list of things I was doing with other people. And I always had a heart for seeing people get healthy. From the time I was young, loved seeing people get healed, get healthy. Like that was just a thing to me. And so I would share my knowledge and try to share my list of things. And it would break my heart because people would try for maybe a day, maybe 2 days, maybe a week max, and nobody would be able to follow through and follow a system and get a health transformation. And out of like the 50 people I had shared my list of things to do with, only one actually followed through and really had a sustainable change in lifestyle. And I was like, man, something is not clicking for folks. Even though I'm giving all this information, it's not absorbing to a level that they're able to practically implement. Well, just so happens I find myself working at Procter and Gamble, and they quickly teach me oh, if you want to help the masses, you really have to think about making a better product for people, because habit change is so incredibly hard. And the part of the formula to any successful product is being a part of someone's habit change loop. And that's why fundamentally consumer products oftentimes improve our lives, in the world. And so a light bulb went off, and I said, wait a minute, we got to figure out how to bundle up many of these things that I had learned and implemented in my own life into a much more practical and approachable product for people to get the benefits out of. And thus was born the idea of Uprising, and packaging up all of that health knowledge, the best science, the latest thinking, the low carb, clean ingredients, paleo, high fiber, superfoods, into the staples. Enter Uprising.
Gotcha. Now, you could have just sat back and said, hey, let's make another supplement, though, right? You could have said, let's do a
That's
supplement, right? And that would have been, something that somebody did. But you guys said, listen, let's choose bread, right?
Yes.
How you were sitting around. So were you sitting around with Zach at the time? Like, how did it happen? How did it get to the point where, like, all right, this is what we know we want. This is what we want to do. And I love what you said about getting to the masses, because right now I can help somebody, but I'm one-on-one, right? So how do I help many? That's the thing. How do I get to many people? And that was a beautiful statement that you said. And you really made me start thinking, okay, well, how do I get out what I do to help many, right? And that's what your whole goal was. How can you really create not a change of one, but a monumental change, right? Really change your people. So you guys are just sitting around and go, all right, bread. We need to do it with bread. Is that how it came about? How did it come about?
Yes, it actually started with I was watching a Netflix documentary called The Pill. You might be familiar with. And I saw a lady make a artisan style, like farm market style, loaf of bread out of macadamia nuts. And she was using the keto diet in that documentary as a part of her cancer therapy. And I saw that bread come out of the oven on the documentary, and I said, I've never seen a low carb nut based bread that looks like that in my life. And I immediately just wanted to buy it. And I said, and I obviously went online, I started Googling, and I'm like, you can't find anything like that. I'm like, there's like a couple attempts at low carb bread that, let's not even talk about the bottom half of the ingredient label. But there's some attempts out there that are certainly meeting a need out there for folks. But nothing like I saw on that documentary. And I said, you know what? I had this aha, like so many people around me were starting to talk about, man, I really want to get healthy and I want to try this, low carb keto diet, but I just can't give up bread. I just can't give up bread, and so you start to pick up on these things. And I'd given up bread for a long time, but the moment I saw that bread in front of my face, I was like, whoa, I want that. I at least want to try it. And I said, you know what? I took a step back and I just said, why? Let me keep trying to connect these dots. I'm sharing health information with people. Why are they not getting the benefit? Bread is the one of the most fundamental things in our food culture. We have literally organized around bread for centuries.
Yep.
It's deeply societal. It's deeply psychological. It's the thing you think of when you think of having to give up something, when you want to switch your lifestyle, whether it be low carb or just going healthier. And so I was like, okay, we have to solve not only the health requirements, the product burden, but we need to help people with the mental, the stress, the psychological component of making a lifestyle change. And if I can relieve people of that pressure of having to give up bread, I think I can get people a win out of the gate. But, huge but, the product cannot taste like a healthy product in quotes.
Right.
And so I said, I baked a bunch of loaves, like over 200 loaves myself at home. But, I was a marketer at Procter and Gamble. And I said, you know what? I need the best of the best. We got to bring something that the masses are going to fall in love with, because if they fall in love with it, it will become practical and sustainable. And they can then achieve the health transformation. And so I recruited my co-founders, Mark and Sarah Frohmeyer. They're award-winning artisan bakers here in Cincinnati. They bake like beautiful art-based bread that is in the highest end restaurants. And I said, guys, we got to help a lot of people. I need your level of food making. How is a product supposed to feel in your mouth? How is it supposed to taste? We need to bring that to the masses. That would be an uprising. Luckily, they took me up on that, and that's how we have the cube.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You talked about the lower half of the ingredients in the other breads, right? I mean,
right.
I've had keto bread, and some of it should just be called keto crap. I mean, it wasn't really that great, to be honest with you. And caused more like bloating and stuff like that. So let's talk about the lower half of the ingredients that's just not present in your bread, right? It's just not there.
Yes.
So let's talk about, why don't you share with us, what are the exact ingredients in your bread? What is it and it doesn't have a lower half? I mean, literally your ingredient list is like this. I mean,
yes, like exactly. As small as possible is a first philosophy and principle. And we only have 8 ingredients in the bread. So you've got almond flour, golden flax seeds, a ton of psyllium husk, apple cider vinegar, and egg whites. That makes up the base of the bread. And then after that, you only have salt, water, and baking powder. And that is the bread.
Right.
Now, that seems extremely simple or short. Bringing those things together into a actual dough and then a bread that is enjoyable is extremely hard.
That's where the science comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. So why the ingredients? Why did we choose these types of things? Why is it so short, and why is it not longer? These are we can answer these for a couple reasons. So first off, we know now that there's a lot of things that cause inflammation in people's bodies that we didn't know when they were invented, or when people started putting them in foods. We didn't know that those things were going to cause inflammation. We just thought, hey, it's the 1950s. We need to scale food out to the masses. We need to preserve it. We got to feed the troops. There's a lot of stuff that was born in the middle 1900s that we didn't know what was going to be the ramifications to the total food system. Now we know a lot of this stuff causes inflammation in people. Some people can feel it right away, and it causes horrible reactions. Mm-hmm. And for some folks, inflammation is a silent accumulative issue. And then one day the dam breaks, and now you got a whole bunch of issues. So our first starting principle was no more ingredients than is absolutely necessary. And so many food scientists' approach would be, I've got 100, maybe 500 ingredients at my disposal. Let me architect kind of a mastery of chemistry. And you can use a lot of things, a lot of preservatives, a lot of dough changing agents. If you're thinking of it from that approach, you can design a mouthfeel, a taste that will be absolutely magical, but you might use something that cause an issue in one person, cause an issue in some people. They might realize it, might not. So we said, hey, let's go as simple and clean as is possible. We want to make a pinnacle product that will resonate with the bodies, the health conditions of the most amount of people. Then let's actually choose ingredients that are going to do something for you. And so we really built a dough and an ingredient list that would be high fiber first and foremost, and bring psyllium husk into the equation. And we have almost a 50-50 blend of soluble and insoluble fiber. And so we want to essentially provide some of the starting fuel for folks' guts to, grab onto, that microbiota to consume, create the short chain fatty acids, all of that stuff. And then we said, okay, let's bring almonds in, let's bring flax seeds in, let's bring apple cider vinegar in, and then let's make it taste as close to a mild nutty sourdough as possible. And so that's essentially the science and the thinking behind our ingredient list.
Oh, damn good job, right?
Thank you.
In my world, it's helping those people with cardiometabolic conditions, helping a lot of the people who suffer with the functional digestive disorders, from IBS to IBD, and this typical I just bloat no matter what I eat, to helping people with weight loss. Now we're talking about bread and weight loss. So I remember a long time ago, there was this Hollywood bread that was out, and it was just unadulterated, just junk. It was really horrible. So to have this bread that actually helps my patients. So can you imagine a look on a patient's face when you say, oh, listen, you don't have to give up bread? And they're kind of, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to eat bread, this is the bread that I want you to, eat. And to anybody's watching, I'm not an affiliate for these guys. I'm not making money off these guys or anything like that. I don't have anything like that. Because people are like, oh, you must be making money. I'm like, no, I true, right? I have nothing with you, right?
Right. No, nothing at all. Just
a
passionate fan.
Right. So, and I'm like this, but it helps my patients, and that's what's really great. So, but you guys one upped it. You're like, okay, well, the bread's good. Damn, let's make chips.
Yes.
Right. And like I said to you before, my patients, they want something crunchy. They want something salty, and I don't want them eating pretzels and potato chips, especially if their guts are wreck. Right. So how'd you guys go? Like, all right, we left the bread out. Now it's hard. Let's make chips out of it. How'd you guys go from bread and then you added chips?
So first starting point is, like I told you out of the gate, our goal, our entire mission is we want to help the masses. And so we think of things at Uprising through the lens of, what are the biggest problems that the masses are facing when they wake up in the morning, they're talking to you, and they're like, oh, you know what, doc, I'm ready to make a change, but I just can't give up bread. I just can't do it. So we wanted Uprising to be a solution to that problem, right? Bread first, bread psychologically. Then we said, you know what? If we can solve that problem, then we also know that the patients are probably going to come in there and say, you know what? I'm loving this. I'm loving bread. I'm so glad, but man, I need a snack. I need that sensation of crunch. I'm doing good on my bread side, but then every now and again I go off the rails because I just need something crunchy in my life. Right. And so we said, let's see if we can make something that delivers the sensation of crunch, which there's tons of research out there on how deep that is in people's brains, of how that sensation of crunch is like, it is hardwired in us to want. Yes, primal. It is primal to want that. And the 99% of the options out there to satisfy that sensation, that primal sensation, are going to do some sort of damage. They're going to cost you something in the long run. And so we said, hey, can Uprising make something that meets a primal grade need, but is of the same Uprising quality, low carb, high fiber, superfood, paleo friendly, all the things. And thus was born the Uprising chip.
Yeah, great chip. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
And furthermore, because we're not just a health company, we're also a food first. We think of all the little things about food. We said, hey, we want a chip that can scoop, that can do the functional jobs that a chip should do, so that people can eat more guacamole, so that they can, if they're like, hey, I want to get a Chipotle bowl today, but I need the sensation of crunch with it. Hey, Uprising's got you. So we really think about what are the jobs of the food, not just, well, can we make you something that passes as a chip or a bread?
Yeah, it's a great chip, and it doesn't taste like styrofoam, right? You get some
Right,
chips that like
right,
this is like really not worth it, right? So
right.
good job on the chip. Okay, so you may not be able to answer the next question. I don't know, but this is out of very selfish a question to ask. I know some of my patients would ask this as well. You kick butt with the bread, you kick butt with the chips. What do you guys think about a cereal?
Ooh. So without telling you everything that I have in R&D
Mhm.
right now,
Exactly.
um, we are working on, in some form or fashion, most of the major staple categories.
Excellent.
So we're either researching or actively R&Ding against all the major staples.
Okay.
We want people to be able to say, anything that they relied upon at high frequency: cereal, bread, chips, crackers, maybe cookies someday, depending on if we can do that well. Someday I'd love to do pasta. Someday I'd love to do alternative to rice. There's so many major staple categories that were, high carb, highly processed, starch filled categories that have been the some of the foundation of what the masses need and subsist off of. We're eyeing all of them.
Excellent.
So there's a lot of other bread forms that we're also eyeing. So you can imagine pizza crusts, um, English muffins, buns, things that people use frequently. We want to be right there for them, so that there's essentially, slowly but surely, you don't have to make that choice between being healthy and getting the satisfaction of a staple food.
Excellent. English muffin would be great, right? That'd be a nice one as well. So when we started a conversation before we hopped on, you talked about thankfully, thank God, it's growing, and you guys had to change places because you were in Ohio, and now it's Cincinnati, and then now you're in Detroit, right? And
Yes, yes,
you're growing. So
yes.
and thankfully, I mean, listen, we had COVID last year, and I guess it's still have it, but I mean, and you guys you have a business in the setting of a pandemic, so
Yes.
that's bonkers. Thankfully, it's
Yes.
been successful. So as an entrepreneur, I mean, listen, you got to work your butt off. I know it because I'm one, you're one. So
Yes.
what do you yourself to stay healthy? What is your routine like?
Yeah. So my personal routine is, I would consider myself an intermittent fasting person, first and foremost, as a foundational strategy. Um, I tend to perform best on like a one meal a day, or like a 1.5 meals a day within like a 3 to 4 hour window. And then I'm very choiceful about what I do eat within that window. So obviously I, eat our product. I'm very religious about fiber. I was not necessarily religious about fiber until I fully felt the benefits of excellent digestive health, and what an adequate fiber intake can do to your overall health. I'm definitely typically low carb. Um, I eat extremely clean, so I'm like kind of a low carb paleo
Mm-hmm.
person. I will cycle carbs in from time to time, depending on my workouts.
Right.
I like to lift weights 3 to 4 times a week, and I really time my food around my lifting and exercise schedule. So, all in all, to answer your question around like what do I do to stay healthy, I form a rhythm, and I stick to my rhythm. However, what I have always said to people is that um, I do what I do 95% of the time, so that when it is 5% mode and I want to enjoy a moment with other people who aren't doing the same thing as me, I can do that guilt free. So there's a lot of freedom once you create so much discipline. And then once you create that discipline, if you do it over and over, the the habits that become hardwired make it actually far easier because it's in autopilot. One thing I try to be very cognizant of is getting into rhythms to be successful. Doing the same things over and over and over so that you're not wearing yourself down mentally around like, what am I going to do right now? What am I going to do right now? That decision fatigue will just wear you out, especially when the world is in chaos.
Sure.
Whether the world is in chaos because of a pandemic or because of you're running a crazy high growth business, or you're like, what are my food choices today?
Right.
Any of those things can be overwhelming. When you start to add them all up, family things, relationship things, all those things, they can really just jumble your world up and become quite chaotic. And so I like to bring structure and order so that, I can spend that creative energy on things that I really want to be creative around. And I can automate and be autopilot on the things that I know are required to keep me healthy and, make Uprising successful.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, there is a direct relationship between business growth and health, right? You're not going to be in poor health and have a great business. I mean, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. You definitely want to enjoy the benefits of it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. That's a wonderful routine. I find that because I do weights 4 days a week, and when there's a big workout, especially kettlebell workout, going to the Uprising bread as part of my post-workout meal is really important. It takes away that I've got to eat. I've noticed that when I get patients on it, they don't have that hangry situation. So it's sustainable. So when they eat the bread, because it's so nutrient dense, it is very sustainable. And speaking about the hangry situation, I watched that YouTube video of what's he calls himself, the hangry half Asian, right?
Hangry half Asian, so, yes.
I'm watching this thing like, okay, he did this like crazy 3-day toast challenge. So can you talk about your toast challenge that you have? I thought that was wild.
Yes, so we have we created this thing actually right before the pandemic, January 2020. We said, hey, we how can we make health simpler, easier? How can we get more people more exposure to the benefits of these clean paleo, like very advanced diet concepts? How can we boil this all down and make it simple, achievable, where people could notice some gut health transformation? And so we said, hey, what if we designed a 3-day toast cleanse challenge where people in 3 days could notice a digestive and gut health transformation? Now, you're not going to fix every issue in 3 days by any stretch of the imagination, but people underestimate how quickly their body can start to change when you get the right inputs. And so we said, how do we expose people to that? So we invent the toast cleanse. And the toast cleanse is all built around leveraging our bread plus a protocol of other toppings, oils, fermented foods, things that we know are extremely good for gut health. And then when paired with an adequate fiber source, we know people are going to see some transformation. They're going to notice things. And we got that out there and people started loving it. So we've had people all over the internet try it, and people rave about it. And one of the things that people notice kind of across the board is after the toast cleanse, they have what is called the perfect poo. And once you have had the perfect poo, and it is totally different. Like how you feel about your digestion, your health, when food is moving through you properly, once you've experienced that once. And so that's one of our goals with the toast cleanse is we want people to have a bowel movement that as is intended, as is healthy. And that's one of the things that people notice in our toast cleanse, as well as they will also notice the benefits of that type of clean designed 3 days. And, people can notice everything from improved, mental clarity, getting rid of certain cravings, for a short amount of time, the satiety, when you get that amount of fiber in. So we really want to kickstart people into a better gut health lifestyle in an achievable way. And then it's like you're like cheating the universe when you're doing this on toast.
Right.
And so, that was the genesis of the toast cleanse. And we're trying to get more people to try it. We really want to like beat the drum around gut health.
Right.
And we want to beat the drum around how can you approach gut health, which can be a bit of a complex thing depending on what's going on.
Yep.
How can you approach some of the fundamentals, the low-hanging fruit items, in a way that's sustainable, achievable, and you notice that something is happening? You asked early on, like, why not go into supplements? Well, one of the reasons that I'm not a huge fan of supplements is a lot of times I think it's hard to notice the benefits of a supplement. A lot of times it's like some supplements, you really need like your fundamentals in place before you can really notice kind of these incremental places that supplements will take you. And of course, there's certain things where you're deficient, you need supplements. I want to focus on the things where I can solve like some of the big foundational pillars, and then people will notice a benefit. Like that's what I want people to see. And so thus was born the toast cleanse.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'd rather have people eat their health than swallow their health, right? So that's really important. So I love vitamin supplements. I just like the right ones for the right person at the right time, at the right dosage, based upon their clinical presentation and if needed lab work, right? So now we're right, because listen, if you read the marketing behind every vitamin supplement, you need every single one of them, right?
Exactly.
You really don't, right? You really, in all honesty, you really don't. So it's important to take a look at what somebody needs as an individual. Okay, so let me ask you this: what is your favorite topping for the bread? How do you eat it? I know you talked about. I saw the one where you like that one with the cinnamon and the Kerrygold butter. I know you like that one.
Yes. So I absolutely love cinnamon toast. Kerrygold butter, monk fruit. I'll even drizzle a little MCT oil on there.
All right.
That is one of my absolute favorites because that's like the nostalgic, me and my brother and sister at the counter with mom and the little cinnamon sugar bear taste. However, now it's totally healthy with the bread and with the cinnamon and monk fruit. So I love that. I love making grilled cheese with Miyoko's cheese, which is a dairy-free cheese. If I'm like really hankering for some sort of like grilled cheese bite.
Mm-hmm.
I also will occasionally do Kerrygold cheese and do the same thing. And I would say those are my go-tos. Our bread is meant to be toasted, and so I always toast our bread, and that like crispy outer, chewy, like soft inner, like that sensation. Like my wife probably thinks I'm super weird, but a lot of times I'll just like toast a piece and just start munching on it, and not do anything to it. So I would say those are kind of my like go-tos, but I use it for everything.
Excellent. So you mentioned Dave Osprey. I'm also a big fan. Used Bulletproof as well. I would love for you guys to get on his show. That'd be great if you get.
Yes.
It's a really great way to get the name out, right? I mean, he's got lots of people. So hope by some freaky chance somebody's listening who knows him can push you guys up to see them. That'd be great.
Yes, if you're out there, please ping him.
Yeah, ping you right now, right? Okay. So I have another question for you. So you run a business. We treat a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs. What is your favorite book? What book did you read that said, "Wow, this book really moved my needle forward"?
Business related or health related?
Sure. I'll take business. I'll take business, and I'll take life.
Okay. Man, there's a lot of good ones.
A lot of great ones.
Yeah. So I would say the most formative business book that I've ever read and personally implemented is The Lean Startup by Eric Rice. And the reason that that book is so powerful is it teaches you a mindset of build, measure, learn, and do it again. And in business, and honestly, a lot of times in health, you're forming a hypothesis on what you think would work, and you need to go then and validate that hypothesis. You know, is this food going to make my blood work move, yes or no?
Mhm.
And so many times, in business or in health, people like they are told a claim, they're told, hey, this could do this. But then the verification step, did that actually do that? Did I actually need that? Did
Right.
it move the needle in my business or in my health in the way that I need the needle moved? A lot of times that doesn't happen. And so that mindset of build something, build your hypothesis, build your solution, build your what you're going to do, get it out there, measure, and then learn from that, and then do it again. That to me is ultimately, it's so basic, but that methodology, way of thinking, that cycle is so powerful. That's a book that I think every entrepreneur should read.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. And you talk about measurement. I'll be honest with you. I just got off a month of a CGM. I had to
Mm,
continuous glucose monitor, and when
okay.
I ate the bread, it did not move it very much.
Mm,
Right. So,
yes.
you talk about measurement right there. It's like, okay, I can get away and eat this bread and know that's not going to create such a spike in my glucose. And that's
Yes.
measured like on time, right? So it's in your arm, there's a sensor in your arm. You have an app, you can check your blood glucose, you then eat your product, and I
Yes.
ate the uprising bread and wait half an hour, checked again, moved a little, checked again, started coming down. Hour and a half later, back down to baseline. So again, measured that, and I was like, okay, I can get away and eat this, and that's really
Yes.
important, right? So you're gathering that data point for yourself as a bio individual. All right,
Yes.
great. And the other book, the book that a good life book.
Um. So I mean, there's no greater formative book for me personally than the Bible. Like as
Every
cliche
story.
as that, yeah, as cliche as that might sound, developing character, I think, is a really important thing, and however you as an individual go about that, is great. Everybody's on a journey here in life to from one point to another. And I think focusing on developing your character and finding a way to, mentors, books, ways that are going to show you who you are and who you might want to become are fantastic things that you should latch onto and go after. So for me, I dive into the Bible. I use that as a way to look at myself, look at who I think that, where I have some flaws, where I have brokenness, and where I want to evolve,
Right.
and become closer to what I think God put me on the earth to become. So
And that's great because you know what? What's great about it is like you can read a passage, may have no meaning, and then 3 years later you go, "Oh, now that has meaning."
yes,
Right?
exactly,
Right? At a
exactly.
certain age, you're like, and then a little bit of life happens. You're like, "Ah, okay, that makes sense." Right? So,
Yes,
it's always good to
exactly.
go back there, right? It's always good to go back.
Yes, insights tend to develop over time.
Sure, sure, and that's okay, right? Because that's growth, right? So it's always good to
Yes.
have those insights. So I can't thank you enough. Absolutely wonderful. I really enjoyed tonight. Can you share with everybody how do they find you, how do they purchase it, and all that?
Yes. So super simple. Uprisingfood.com. We ship to every single state. We are e-commerce first, foremost. If you happen to live in the Midwest near a Meyer grocery, you can grab our chips. But outside of that, the bread is only available online. And that's an intentional thing. We want to give people the freshest product, no middlemen who have a say on our ingredient list or our cost structure. We want to get that direct to the people. So uprisingfood.com, go on the website. The buttons will take you from there. We'll get you into the right bundle, and we'll get it to your door. We bake fresh, so we collect orders all week. We bake it all up, and then we ship everything on Mondays.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm just going to share one more thing about the integrity of your company. So I put in an order, and it was late. And you guys wrote, "I'm really sorry," and you gave me a small coupon to have some, discount. And then it was late again, and you apologized again, and you gave me even a bigger one. So from an integrity perspective, really loved what you guys did. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Top-notch company. Love to watch you guys grow even more. It's great. I'm a big fan. I'm my patients big fan as well. So again, thank you very much for tonight. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Hang in there. So hang on 1 second. I'm going to end this broadcast. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.